We have a bit, full agenda today, and lots of people will be reading. But before I, start this event, I would request you that if we all today stand for just 1 minute in silence to remember one of our great friends, Nick Pemberton, please. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Nick was the creator of SpeakEasy, and I'm sure today he would be feeling proud that the next level we have taken SpeakEasy event in this format by connecting not only in Carlisle but in Thessaloniki as well, which you all will be part of today. And I think this is one of the best tribute for someone who has started a movement, a new way of getting people together, speak up and speak for people in different ways using all different artistic practices. And I think we all should be grateful for that great man who have started this SpeakEasy along with many of you in this Carlisle. And today we have our chairman of the County Council, Councillor Liz Mallinson, with us. And now I would like to invite her to officially open the FREIRAUM in Carlisle, the SpeakEasy event. The hashtag for today is hashtag FREIRAUM in Carlisle. And also our Twitter account is at UK FREIRAUM, and Facebook page is at UK FREIRAUM. So if you are tweeting, please use hashtag FREIRAUM in Carlisle. So thank you very much, and I would like to welcome now Councillor Liz Mallinson.
I'm Elizabeth Mallinson, and I'm the councillor here. And as a councillor, and I'm also chairman of the Cumbria County Council, this is my official role. In Cumbria, we're very, very proud of our diversity, and we're very proud of what we actually do culturally. And I'm a strong believer that if you haven't got culture, you haven't got the arts, then you can't communicate with people. To be able to speak, to be able to talk, to be able to read, and to be able to appreciate the finer points of life is what our civilization is all about. And we lose it at our peril. It is a great honour that Carlisle has been chosen today to hold this event and for all of you to be here. We in Cumbria have always looked at various countries as a place of haven. After the First World War, after the Holocaust, and just before, after the Second World War, and just before the Holocaust, we had a lot of Jewish refugees, the children, the kinder children. They came here, and we had an event in Hawks Head 3 weeks ago to celebrate and to remember that. And at that event, we had Syrian, Iraqi, Iranian refugees. We, again, have opened our doors to refugees, and we hope, we know from a fact that we will, because we had Kosovo refugees here at the height of the war, Bosnian War, and a lot have stayed. And the enrichment they have given us as Cumbrians are something that I hold very dear to my heart. I've written a speech, but like everything I do, I never stick to it. But there are one or two things in here that I actually do have to say. And so forgive me if I go through this. One of the things why I'm so pleased that you're here today, and this organisation is here today, celebrating art and literature and everything like that, is because there is a very famous artist, and I looked it up on the internet. I was given the name, I thought, oh my goodness me, I've never heard of that. So I've looked at it, and I've spent days going through the stuff that he's done. Not my style, but again, a refugee who came here, a German, and his name, excuse my French, my German, excuse me, is Cartwright-Smith, and he's an impressionist painter. He's dead now, but he did an awful lot of work in the Lake District, and he got his inspiration, peace and sanity back from being here. So, all I'd like to say is Cumbria is very big. We've always had a tradition in our villages of culture, and we've only got 500,000 population. We have more sheep and cows in Cumbria than we actually have people. But you take a map of Cumbria and you impose it on London, and the geographical area of Cumbria covers the whole of London and the surrounding areas. So that shows you just how large Cumbria is. And we have our unique community activities, and I hope you will bring to us some of the thoughts that you have and that you are going to tell us today, because we need to bring fresh ideas and fresh blood into this, otherwise we die. Unless you can bring in and feed and nurture other people's views and points of views and their lifestyle, you're going nowhere. We live in a very, very turbulent world, and I actually think, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, I actually think something like this is a building block for the future. So, last thing, and my very last thing, is welcome. Thank you for coming. And can I introduce your General Secretary? General Secretary Johannes. Thank you so much, and welcome to Cumbria.
Change the microphone again. Okay. So, I also got my paper. I will use it a little bit, but not in the beginning. Dear Elizabeth Mallinson, dear friends, dear colleagues, my name is Johannes Ebert. I'm the Secretary General, the Chairman of the Board of the Goethe Institut, which is the German cultural institute which is working worldwide, a little bit like the British Council that you might know. And it's about 1 year ago that we met in Warsaw, in Poland, in the Museum of Jewish History, about 40 representatives of European Goethe institutes and 50 representatives of institutions, cultural institutions, youth institutions, museums, galleries from all over Europe for our project, for our initiative FREIRAUM, which means free space in English. And the first task that we had to do, we had to find pairs. We always put two cities together, and I had the honor to make a lottery, and the only criteria was that that the distance between them had to be more than 1,000 kilometers. And in the end, it was Thessaloniki and Carlisle who were brought together. I remember the first moment of the two institutions talking, AWAZ from Carlisle and ArtBOX from Thessaloniki. And they were sitting on a table discussing and saying, so what do we do together? What is our road together? What are the questions we are solving together? And I think the first moment it was a little bit skeptical, but then they found a common ground and a common path. And this path led us here today, to this SpeakEasy event in Carlisle. And I'm very proud and happy to be here. And actually I have to say, yesterday we were coming from Skopje in Macedonia, another partner of our FREIRAUM project, working together with Copenhagen. And then we will bring all the partners together in Berlin and then see what has come out of our big FREIRAUM initiative. I was very much looking forward to this event. Actually, I heard it's going to be in a pub, which I would have also liked. but I think it has become so big and there are so many people here today that I think it's also a very nice place here, and I'm looking very much forward to it. And what is exciting today too, we have a connection to Thessaloniki, which will hopefully work. So we will have a FREIRAUM event with all the partners on the table, and I'm very much looking forward to this. What's behind the FREIRAUM project? And now I go a little bit to my paper, apologies. It's a European cooperation between 50 organizations from Europe and 40 Goethe Institutes from Europe. In each case, 2 city partners, for example, Rome and Nicosia from Cyprus, Tallinn from Estonia and Dresden from Germany, Skopje and Copenhagen, and as you know, as I said, Carlisle and Thessaloniki. The main question is, what does freedom mean today? Because I think in Europe, we are having a situation which is shifting very much. We have populist movements, we have national movements, we have new decisions in Great Britain, we have also in Germany, in East Germany, some issues we have to discuss. So we said, okay, what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about European values. What do they mean for us today? And one of the underlying value is freedom. It's the base for tolerance, the base for diversity, and so on and so on. So, what does freedom mean today in Europe? Where is it coming under pressure? What can we do to create and protect free spaces? And we were looking for partners not only in the capitals, partners which we normally work with, but also in larger cities, a little bit regional capitals. And we found it this time in Carlisle and in Thessaloniki, because I think, coming myself from a small town, I think the small towners and the middle towners, they are the people who shape also a country and who have to have a say in a country. And that's why we invited Carlisle for this project. The Carlisle question in the project was, what is isolation? How can we overcome it? What does European identity mean? What does it mean to identify as a citizen of Europe? And these are the questions of the SpeakEasy today, of the SpeakEasy event today. For us as Goethe Institute, from a German perspective, of course the EU is very important for us because it brought us peace after a long war. For us, Europe is a cultural project. And you said it, culture is binding us together. Literature, art, debates, these are cultural things that bring us together. And so for this reason, I think this event today is very important for all of us. I want to, although I did not meet him, I also want to finish my words of welcome not without remembering Nick Pemberton, who was not in Warsaw at that day because Aftab took his place in Warsaw. And I heard how much he developed here, how much he initiated here, how much he motivated here. And it is these personalities that we all need in our cities for cultural creation and for cultural production and for cultural life. So I'm sorry for his loss, but I'm happy that he lives on in events like this. My thanks also go to Aftab Khan from AWAZ Cumbria, as well as to Philip Hewitson and to Christos Savidis from ArtBOX. And they made this project happen. Thank you very much to you. And I ask Christos to take my place. And thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. I was not prepared for that, but it's okay. Because maybe I'm not prepared for this, but I'm prepared to thank everybody for collaborating. And As you said, it was really a little bit stressed in first when we met with AFTAP in Poland, but then we realized that, and that was our first and most important thing, how we will make not a successful project artistically only, but how we are going to collaborate. So that's why we asked the two artists participating, Thomas Koch and Evi Karathansopoulou, to do something both in Thessaloniki and in Carlisle, because we felt that this is the only way that we can create something in common and we will create a community actually. That was obvious for the very first time that we came here in April, and we had the chance to meet people like Phil, people like Jane, that then she became the curator of the project, and we realized that we have a lot of common things, and the only thing that we had to do, it was just to put that on a paper and create some common projects. The other approach that we had, it was that, okay, we can have thousands of ideas, we're creative people, but we decided not to create our own ideas, but to take the ideas from Carlisle, like the Youth Zone project and the SpeakEasy project, which is today, and build up on it and create something common out of it. So we had the chance to see what the Youth Zone did here in collaboration with Thessaloniki. We thank all the people, and especially the young children, that they created these incredible works. And we did something similar in Thessaloniki, and we will continue, and we have the opportunity so far to have almost 300 children participating in this project. For the SpeakEasy event, we don't know what will happen today, but we hope that the live coverage is going to be working. Actually, they informed me that they already heard the General Secretary in Thessaloniki, although we haven't started yet. But the most important for me is that now we have friends here in Carlisle. We have people that we know that we can work and we can continue this project. And as I said before in an interview, a lot of interviews actually, thank you for that, we had the opportunity to say that the most important thing is that we realize that out of this project that we have common issues. I'm not saying problems. Maybe the type of crisis in Britain and the type of crisis in Greece is not the same, politically at least it's not exactly the same, but people feel the same way. They want to create something for their own lives and to take on their own hands their future. And that is common. It's common through the work by Thomas and Evi, that they had interviews in both cities and they realized that there is that people are saying the same thing. So for us, the biggest gain out of this project was that we realized that the borders are they're changing. That's why we are named today's event in Thessaloniki post-border, because we believe that the borders are not national anymore, but they are more personal. And these projects like this, and thank you Goethe Institut for giving us this opportunity, makes it possible to step a step further in this process of creating your own border, your own fry zone in a way. So I feel like I'm a little bit in home. I feel very comfortable here. It's the second time that I'm in Carlisle, and I have a lot of friendly faces, and I saw very interesting people, artists, and a community that I feel I'm connected, and this is the biggest gain out of this project. Thank you very much all for the collaboration.
Hi. It's good to see you all here. There's a few notices. We're filming and taking photographs, so there may be flash photography. I hope that's okay. We've started now, so it's probably a bit late for that. But yeah. There are these packs around on the seats. They've got a one of the running orders. Tells you when you're on if you're performing. And that's your cue for keeping track on that, please. For the Greek video bit, the live stream, there are 3 poems, or 3 poets, and there's 3 translations here. Should be in these packs. And then there's an advert for the theatre. They're doing another interesting thing. It's going okay so far. Yeah, I want to echo all those thanks, really. I want to thank Goethe Institut for kicking off this whole FREIRAUM project and giving us the opportunity to engage with the sphere of freedom. I want to thank Aftab Khan and AWAZ for getting us involved in this whole wonderful circus. I want to thank Liz Mallinson for coming today to talk and open the event. I want to thank Christos and all of ArtBOX for being our new friends and opening up interesting opportunities in Greece. I want to thank the university for hosting us today. I want to thank theatre guys because you've been great. You know, you've facilitated all of this. I want to thank the media guys. You got special thanks to Ed Cooper and Michael Mitchell and you guys up there. You students are doing a great job on the cameras and stuff. So thank you so much. I want to thank everybody this end, Jane Devon and everyone who's been coordinating everything. It's like an Oscar speech, this, isn't it? I want to thank all of the SpeakEasy guys and all the artists and all the poets and you guys that have been working on stuff with Linda and BlueJam for coming along and all the participants who are here today. I think it's going to be good. I want to thank Susan for helping wrangle everything together and making this wonderful schedule that you're going to all adhere to on pain of death. I want to thank John and Andy and Nikki for wrangling all the musical stuff, and I'm excited by that. Yeah, I can't thank you all enough really for coming and participating and being part of this today. This is kind of weird, because this is the room that 14 years ago Nick Pemberton shambled into my life. This was on our first day when I was studying here. We met all the tutors that we would meet over the 3 years, and he was probably about here. And it's kind of spooky. I think he's here today. So he'd be so thrilled with this. And I'm going to start with some words of his, because he'd been working on ideas and collating things from the SpeakEasy we did in April, where I know you guys had come over and you fell in love with the whole SpeakEasy formula. So yeah, as I say, please keep an eye on these schedules for when you're on, and I know John Chambers is up next. But yeah, this is Nick's words on isolation and freedom from ideas from SpeakEasy. Isolation is like ice. Sometimes art makes it melt, and freedom is the eventual coming of spring and rebirth. A ripple left behind in a lake as you swim to the other shore. Freedom can be an open door that you walk through and think of adventures. So walk unconcerned through the summer rain, or walk a mountain range with friends and breathe the sharp air on the mountaintop. Or, if you're alone, make friends with yourself. Make friends with your moods. Look outwards, not inwards, and let your senses be alive in the world. Anything can happen. Embrace your solitude, for you are not lonely, you are only alone. And isolation is only solitude gone wrong. Or, if you prefer, and why not, it's solitude gone right. If isolation is like being stuck down a well where Lassie can't save you, or sucked through a black hole and trapped in another universe, like an Everton fan on Liverpool's Cop, or someone's or something stuck in a fridge in a cold bedsit in a big city, where when you go to the park there are no swans and no ducks, and where you can scream at the top of your lungs and no one ever looks up. And when you visit old relatives, you know they won't recognize you, and you've no way to help, and you're afraid to speak, and you're stuck on the 155 bus forever, feeling, that's going to come back later, feeling the loneliest kind of safe, and you can't share your fears, and you don't have a choice. And freedom is just a balloon you can't define. Then try breaking a few habits. Try human interaction and understanding others, connecting, engaging, sharing culture and music, or making someone a cup of tea, or even eye contact. Then invite them for tea and sticky cake. And if freedom still feels like a balloon you can't define, no matter, are you inside it or outside it? Thank you very much.
There's this German fellow, Goethe, I think it was called, who said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has power, genius and magic in it. So I'm going to start with some words by John Charlesworth, the local artist. Definitely worth, it's okay, I can stoop a little bit, yeah, I've been bending for years. This is words by an artist called John Charlesworth. If you get a chance to have a look at his work, please do so. It's very impressive, beautiful, magical stuff. This is his thoughts on isolation. What is isolation? In a strict sense, each of us is isolated, being separate individuals, and our inner workings, mental and physical, fundamentally unknowable to anyone else. But through our senses, we can become acquainted in a very intimate way. And through our thoughts and emotions, we can do so on another plane. So if we can establish these ways of communication with one another, we're definitely not isolated. However, if we have not the means, the license, the enjoyment of this sharing, we have no means of properly verifying our own experience. We're lost. This also applies on a larger scale, with bodies of people being cut off from wider society. This phenomenon is more subject to theoretical analysis. Isolated or remote societies can achieve a purity of difference, which makes them vulnerable to external infections, which can change and even kill them. To encounter isolation in such a community, without damaging or destroying the integrity of that community, its self-evolved state of being requires great tact and sensitivity. It may not even be possible. To return to a more practical level, to the isolated individual who could be so because of any number of conditions, blindness, deafness, autism, any number of physical and mental disabilities and diseases, the question of overcoming the inherent isolation of these is down to the timeless human attributes of patience, care, sympathy and love. These can't be prescribed or substituted. Thank you.
This one was originally called In a Room in Central Athens, but I realized it could be in a room in Central Everywhere. So, in a room in Central Everywhere, half-drawn blinds, light in strips, floating dust and viscous rusting curtains. Shadows lurk in corners, jump out in the afternoon, rattling in the house. A red phosphorescent telephone illuminates with each call from the beyond. A long cord on the terrazzo, then on the fitted carpet, then from the lounge to the hallway to the kitchen. A solid marble sink, feta cheese stuck in the strainer, smell of green soap. The light from the fridge left half open. The voice of the butter in the wilderness.
And outside the window, lunatic asylum TV and tennis blathering concert, each on its own. And every nightfall, the windows clatter in remote and yellow conversations above the scorching, frozen boulevards. Locked up people listening to locked up people. Thank you.
Don't I touch it? No. Thank you. This is a poem by Mick Yates, who couldn't be here today, concerning a funeral. I watched you closely today, my friend. So sorry to say, but you look tired and haggard, bewildered amongst your family, curiously detached, almost at a loose end. I too have lost many in my time, but have not yet suffered the bitter taste of your particular loss. I admired your stoic dignity as you reflected upon your lives together, of the long walks you made, of the high mountains you scaled through good and bad weather, of the depth of your love for her. When your voice faltered, mine did also. When tears welled in your eyes, mine were not immune. I felt your grief as if it were my own. I watched you closely today, my friend. I saw you smile at her in the grave, give her a thumbs-up sign, then slowly pass by. Tonight, when you return to an empty house, to a different life, I shall return home to a familiar place, and hopefully a smile from my wife. I watched you closely today, my friend. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Annika, and this is called A Pin to Soften the Lock. I used my candle to extinguish the mirror, your shoelace to trip the sound, and a regret to tear the ticket. I used my tear to rip that feather, no sound yet to frame the page, and a pin to soften the lock. I used your voice to bruise the tilted ship, his ring to break your gentle promise, and glass to fall again.
Hi, I'm Linda Fitzgerald and I'm an artist. I've been working with the Syrian refugees in Carlisle. So this is from, thank you, Amjad Al-Assad, who couldn't be here today. Loneliness is the desire to stay away from others' thoughts on your own world, a feeling that can lead to depression, so that you become obsessed with bad things and begin to imagine all that is bad. When you lose confidence in close people and friends here begin your first symptoms of isolation that it's hard to get out of. Then you have to find someone standing by you at all times. Your spirit will not leave you, and nowadays it's hard to find. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bryony Jarman-Pinto and I am here representing BlueJam, which is a community arts project which does projects in schools and also outreach work across the whole of Cumbria, mainly northern Cumbria though. Ginny Jarman wasn't able to be here, she's the director of BlueJam, so I'm going to say a few words about the project and who's been involved with it. BlueJam Arts worked with children from 5 primary schools, Robert Ferguson, Armathwaite, Alston, Hawkshead and Hayton. We ran a summer school with children who are looked after. We worked with GCSE music group from Richard Rose Central Academy on work in the exhibition we created during those sessions. Video is of a performance of BlueJam's World Song Sound Festival at Reged, and that was shown in October this year. We also have some music which we can't perform today, unfortunately, because Jilly was going to do that, she's not here today. But we are going to show you we are going to show you the score and you can see the lyrics for it, if you want to just skip through. So here is the score of the music, and there are some beautiful lyrics. One of them to point out is, "You are not the same, I can't see you." And I think this is a really poignant way of thinking about isolation. A lot of the young people we worked with found it quite difficult to think of isolation as a broader topic, and we brought it into a more internal way of thinking about it, using back-to-back, face-to-face, and side-to-side. And they use those terms to help them think about how isolation works for them in their school and also in their surroundings. So we're going to a poem which was written by Armathwaite School. I'm just going to read it out and also include some of their quotes that they gave me while they were creating this poem, and then the abstract artwork that happened after that. What is normal? Normal is boring. Normal is not rich and not poor. Normal is pages in a book. Normal is average. Normal is regular. Everything should be acceptable. Every colour should be acceptable. Normal is going to school. Normal is the same. I thought of it as a kind of maze of colours, because people are a bit of a maze. You just need to find the right feeling inside them. Normal is writing with a pen. Normal is breathing. Normal is orange leaves in autumn. Normal is going to a shop. Normal is safe. Normal is secure. Normal is acceptable. Normal is being just like other people. So if you're normal, you go like everyone else, like a river. The dots represent people who are quite normal, but don't look normal. Different is unusual. These smaller circles, the little blobs around the bigger circle, are the people who like to be different. The bigger circle in the middle are the people who want to be the same colour, be normal, like everyone else. I think it is nice to be different. Then you have creativity. Different is strange. Different is unique. Be different. Elinor.
Hello. Another element of our participation in the FREIRAUM project was a series of summer workshops that we did in collaboration with the Cumbria Youth Alliance with looked after children. And over the course of a couple of days, these kids produced an absolutely staggering array of creative output. They painted pictures, they wrote poems, they made music, they took hundreds upon hundreds of really interesting photos. They wrote and performed their own murder mystery. And so what I'm going to share with you today is a tiny little snippet of what we worked on together. So one of the things was a couple of kids went around taking hundreds of photos with the idea of turning them into stop motion animation. And they didn't have time to do that, to actually consolidate it all. But I've gone back through and I've kind of been working with some of the photos that were taken. So here we have. And one of their safety considerations for these children was that they weren't able to record anybody's face. And that actually became, I think, one of those limitations that proves to be a really good creative stimulus. And that's something you can kind of see in these images. And one of the things that I really like is the way that they've taken absolutely mundane things that they just found around our space, and they've managed to do exactly what art is ideally meant to do, take the ordinary and turn it into something that's really quite startling and exciting visually. And particularly the hooded child, the sort of a threatening figure all too often, and here so obviously poignant and vulnerable in its isolation that the hood becomes a defense. And then we also had a wonderful film which I thought had been lost. This boy art directed everybody in the workshop together around a big room, and he walked around and we sort of thought, not sure if this is actually going to turn out okay. And I suddenly found it the night before last at about midnight. I was looking for something completely different in the files, and I thought, my gosh, this is astonishing. And I paired it together with some music that another few children made, again, just playing around with some musical equipment in the afternoon. And again, I think that you'll agree that they've come up with something really quite extraordinary. I hope the music plays, that would be nice. But if it doesn't, please imagine a sort of moody electronic orchestral swell. How's the video frozen? Okay, that's fun. If necessary, we can move on to the next bit. I swear, this last couple of days has been a non-stop battle with technology, and I'm pretty sure that if the robot apocalypse comes anytime soon, I'm going to lose. So, okay, so I think we'll move instead to a poem which I wrote with, went and using like a windowsill as a desk with a kid one afternoon. We wrote a poem together, and I typed as he spoke. And we wrote a couple, actually, and after the first two, he said, wait, am I allowed to talk about my experience of being in care? I said, yeah, I would love it if you would. That'd be great. And he said, oh wow, I'm allowed, okay. And then we did this poem. And when he took it home and shared it with one of his foster parents, one of his carers, she sort of contacted us and said that there were things in there that he hadn't actually said to her previously. And so I think that's it's a good reminder that poetry is not a rarefied cultural luxury, but can be a genuine and urgent means of self-expression and a tool for overcoming isolation and silence.
This poem is called Language of My Bones. Be who you know you need to be, you tell yourself. Become untouchable, fluid. Go with the flow that you ache to be in, even though you know it is destructive and inescapable. It may seem bubbly and light-hearted, but as you let it carry you further and further, it grasps your bleak body, diving down your throat and spluttering back out with every false word and every false thought and every false feeling. You try to somehow swim against it. You struggle to resist the natural current which laughs as you choke, pressing pictures of perfection onto your blank canvas that are airtight, staining your lungs black with disappointment, the shade reminiscent of failure and shame, dismantling your heart like pulling petals from a rose. You watch as they float above you, unaware of the weights tied around your feet. It's killing you. You glide into the depths, finally escaping the expectations and the standards, and then, for the first time in a long time, you listen to yourself. You meet with the secrets you had hidden away. And although the life dissolves from your fingertips, you hear the messages that your body produces, speaking softly in its own tongue, the words dancing along your bones. And you wonder, how would you become so out of touch with yourself?
Is that about right? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. This is called The Woman Who Walked Into Doors. That livid flower blooming on my thigh could have grown from a seed you'd sown. It's been a while since seed spilled on my body in the name of love. Then I was the woman who walked into doors. I still do sometimes. It's a different pain. Bruises still bloom wild in solitude.
And I stand on this stage. It's strange really. This is a song. Isolation is overcome. 3 ways. Love, community, connection. This is a song about all 3. It's called Everything Must Change. Murmuration of starlings washed over Portland Square. They carved your name, they spelt your face across the twilight air. I saw your brown eyes smile at me. My heart moved wing to wing. And then the air went tidal like the sea. The earth began to sing. Everything must change. walked along the petrol river, I walked it edge to edge. I saw the rowan and the briar, the blackthorn and the sedge, and they were fruiting for the fisher king, as blue as solwing sky. It says there is not one true thing, my heart says otherwise. Everything must change, everything will change, everything must change, everything will change. Stones in the cathedral in Carlisle Castle speak of you. They sigh, they whisper as you pass, they speak of things you knew. And love gives itself up to the air, the moon will offer thanks, and then the silver spills out everywhere, and the Eden bursts its banks. Everything must change, everything will change, everything must change, everything will change, everything will change, everything will change. If you're looking for seats, I think you just put them down here.
Hi, I'm called Roger. I've got a poem about trying to bring a friend out of isolation, and it's called Dear Rosie. I wrote it as her Christmas present last year. I don't blame you for crying in private or trying to hide that you're hurting inside. And I won't blame you if you stop believing or if you stop trying to fight quite so hard. I won't blame you if you have to give in when darkness and pain win. You're already so far. But I'll try to bring you out of your shadow, and I'll make sure that you know that you're not alone. And I know that it hurts, but hold on a while longer, and you'll come out much stronger, and then you've won, it's over.
I'd like to introduce Shirin Hama. She's a Syrian refugee, and she arrived here to live with us in April, which was when I first met her. So she's going to read a poem of hers in Arabic, and I'm going to read it in a translation in English. Right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
أحيانا أود الوقوف على قمة جبل. الرياح قوية، أنا فقط، حيث الرياح تأخذ كل شيء بداخلي. ربما بهذه الطريقة أنسى كل شيء. جربت كل الطرق ولكن دون جدوى. حدثت أشياء كثيرة لأنني لاجئة أو لأنني فتاة لاجئة. كل شيء كان أكثر ألما، أكثر وحدة. تخيل نفسك في مكان لا أحد معك، لا أحد يفهمك أو يساعدك. كنت دائما أتمنى العودة والبقاء في الحرب. قد أرى صديقا جارا أتحدث إليه، يفهمني، يساعدني في الخروج من هذا العالم القاتم. حتى صديقي البكاء لم يعد يساعدني مثل قبل. قابلت فتيات في نفس عمري قبل مجيئي إلى هنا. رأيت في أعينهن قصصا، لكني لم أتمكن من إخبارهن بما كان يحدث في داخلي. لقد حاولت كثيرا. ربما كنت بحاجة إلى ذلك الصديق الذي يفهمني عندما ينظر إلى عيني دون الحديث. كنت أحتاج إلى ذلك حقا. هذا الدمار في داخلي سينتهي يوما ما. يجب أن ينتهي. كل هذه الأقلام والأوراق صنعت للتخلص من الحروب في العالم وفي قلوبنا. سأسمع أغنيتي المفضلة كما لو كانت الأولى. سأقول لأمي صباح الخير بصوت عال، سأشعرها بأنني نشيطة وتناول وجبة الإفطار كما لو أخوتي وأبي معنا. سأسمع والدي يقول إن ابنتي الجميلة تقدم الشاي اللذيذ. كل هذه اللحظات الجميلة التي تجعلني أشعر أنني على قيد الحياة.
Say Shireen's Kurdish, but she didn't bring a Kurdish translation. That's why she's reading in Arabic. She speaks loads of languages, which is amazing. But I'm going to read the translation in English. This is her poem. Sometimes I would like to stand on top of a mountain where the wind is strong. Just me standing and the wind taking everything inside of me with it. Maybe in this way I can forget everything. I have tried all the other ways, but nothing happened. Many things happened. I'm a refugee girl. Everything feels painful. I'm more lonely than. Imagine yourself in a place where no one is with you, no one can understand you, and no one can help you. I have wished to return and stay in war. I might see a friend, a neighbour. I can ask him to understand me, to help me out of this gloom, this world. But even my friend is crying and can no longer help me as before. I met girls my age before I came here. I saw in their eyes their stories, and I could not tell them what was going on inside of me. I've tried many times. Maybe I need that friend who understands me by looking in my eyes without speaking. I need that. This destruction I feel inside me must end someday. All these pens and paper were meant to rid us of wars in the world and in our hearts. I will play my favourite songs as if it were the first time I did, and tell my mother, "Good morning," out loud, and feel her love and feel awakened while we're having breakfast. It will be as if my brothers and father are with us, and my father says, "My pretty daughter, make us some delicious tea." Sorry. All these beautiful moments will make us feel alive. This is my poem that I wrote back in May. I just started this project and I moved house, so this is about me feeling isolated, moving house, confused at the start of my project. It takes a full 5 strides to cross to the fireplace, and another 2 to reach the window. From there you admire the height of the ceilings, the countless window panes, seamless alcoves, half at the level of your heart. With your back to the window, the gunmetal grate emits a chill murmur. Ash shrouds the detail of its face. Light is yellowed, strangled by tangled branches outside. Shelves are empty of presents, plans, or promises. Stepping back, spring forward into a hall diffused with light. Windows stretch at every turn. Honey warmth washes your skin. Arms ache with gentle heat. Ledges shine, a gilt-edged caress. Under toes, soft threads stroke. Pale walls whisper oaths. And amber hum, the promise of new bonds.
These are thoughts on isolation by Alison Barr, who couldn't be here today. So you have to imagine this in a Scottish accent, because I'm rubbish at accents. Personally, I sometimes feel great political and cultural isolation. A, because I'm Scottish, living south of the border, living with a different culture and humour, which I do embrace, but I sometimes miss the Scottish crack. B, because quite a lot of people I have spoken to in Cumbria and elsewhere aren't refugee, European, Scottish, world-friendly. Thankfully, lots also are. C. My class has at times isolated me, and to some extent still does, although now I don't care so much about it, have more confidence and hold my ground. When I was young, there was a working class snobbery of Who does she think she is reading poetry? Then there is the ever-present class divide in Britain, which has at times reared its head in poetry groups, sport and just generally. Also, being individual and refusing to conform to the expectations of media and society can also be isolating. Being pretty sane, with feet on the ground, in a world which seems to have too many maniacs for its own good, can be isolating. I often think I'm in a parallel universe, which can be isolating, as I'll never understand why some people can be so cruel and horrible. Again, thankfully, the good people, the people with empathy, lessen and counteract this. There's more, but I'll leave it at that and stop rambling now.
Hello. These are pre- and post-referendum ramblings of an incomer, or thoughts in isolation in Carlisle. Welcome to Carlisle, be just and fear not. Come ye forth to the Solway Firth. Bring your hopes and dreams, your skills, your needs. A fairly fair state will be there to greet you. And lo, Generation Ryanair brought our goods, our chattels and our worth to the great border city of the lakes. Orphans are we, seeking new life and loves. We huddle together, reach within and without. Eternally mobile, all just human. New tribes are formed. Come away, let's step out, off but not exit our comfort zones. Thank you.
I am remote with you. I like our company, apart. I feel the draw of quiet times and space, with nothing filling in the emptiness. I dance among the gaps in conversation, slip between the commas, find my spirit soars with change of clause. This is the puzzlement of paradox, this island nature of me, the defensive coast while looking towards that horizon, wondering who is there beneath my umbrella, held against the spray. No one speaking, no body shapes that blur my edges and distort my movement. How I long for this. But how I miss the choice of talk, how my fingers ache with unsaid things when I can't reach you, when the ticks stay grey or 3 dots fail to show. I am an empty room that others peer inside. I am the blanked out window, covered armchair, painting turned to the wall. I am the dust and spiderweb encrusted fireplace long since glowing. I feel proximity is alien to me. The solitude draws, but the warmth of company claws. I am only truly whole with you, but push away. I trace your name in the dust of me, smell the scent of you in locked rooms, think I see the shape you make in a crowd. I am not with you, but I'm always with you. I am remote. Our distance brings us closer. I have written myself into your history, and we are each other's story. This is what I tell myself when I cannot reach you or when I push too hard. And of our future? We need to write that together. But I guard the stylus jealously, elbow shield my notebook, even though the words I write are yours. Ours. But I want to own them, want to trace the shape they make and own you. Have you near me, but apart. And this is where we start.
Us again. This is Ibrahim Hasso, and he's a Syrian refugee, and he arrived here on the same day as Shireen. So he's going to read a poem in Arabic, and I'm going to read the translation.
هذا الحجار النظرة إليها هي رائعة، لكنها في نفس الوقت تتحدث عن أيامنا. رغم كسور قلبنا نبتسم لنا ولغيرنا، نحاول أن نهزر حياتنا رغم قتل الإنسانية. العزلة هو شيء مؤلم مجرد التفكير به، ولكن رغم مأساة الحياة أقاوم. رغم أني خرجت من وطني لم أستسلم، أفكر في القادم. نحن نعتبر أنفسنا أحياء، لكننا في الواقع منسجنون في قلبنا. يتحدث قلبي كشاب دائما رغم تدمر حياته. تمنيت حياة جديدة وحاربت العزلة وأخذتها كصاحب وعاشرته، وتغيرت حياتي يوما تلو الآخر. وذهبت من العزلة، ابتسمت الحياة وكافحت عزلتي بنفسي.
These stones are wonderful looking at them, but at the same time, talking about our days, despite the fractures of our heart, they smile to us and to others and try to dazzle our lives. Despite the lack of humanity in this world, isolation is only a painful thing. But despite the tragedy of life, I resist. And although I left my country, I did not give up thinking about the next. We consider ourselves alive, but in fact, prisoners in our heart. My heart speaks as a young man always, despite everything he has gone through. I wished a new life and fought isolation, and took it as a friend and changed my life. Day by day, and went to isolation. I smiled for life and got rid of isolation myself. Oh.
Hello, I'm going to talk for a few seconds to make friends with the microphone. I have a piece that was composed in response to the FREIRAUM thing with musical accompaniment, I hope. My friend Stuart Henderson, who lives hundreds of miles away from me, composed the music, and we composed our separate parts in isolation from one another, and then brought them together into this, forging a deeper connection. So if it's ready, this is called Breathing Space. Breathing space, a place to relax and consider. It is not cutting someone's hair, performing a surgery however minor, fixing a computer while its owner watches over shoulder, rolling a cigarette for a gasping friend, or cooking in an occupied kitchen. It is writing a letter the recipient is not expecting, planning an elaborate birthday surprise, forgetting that deadlines exist, and stirring in the middle of the night with a comfy vastness still to go. It is not coaxing groceries into bags while you hold up a queue, wondering which day will be the day you have to find somewhere new, or being in a taxi. It is being told the world is your oyster. It is not discovering that you don't like oysters, and they like you even less. It is not undressing in front of someone for the first time. It is undressing in front of a partner most other times. It is a matter of perspective. It is not being told that your perspective doesn't matter. It is not being alone when your soul aches. It is being alone when your mind does. It is necessary. It is not always possible. It is stifling sometimes, yearning to be filled. Thanks, I think that went alright.
This is Notes on Isolation by Nick Pemberton. Isolation through grief. Isolation through fear, anxiety and worry. Isolation through difference. Isolation through indifference. Isolation as a disconnect and a state of disconnectedness. The splendid isolation of the artist. The splendid isolation of the prophet without honour in his own country. Isolation through anger, through disgust, through a rebellious nature. Isolation through time, through ageing, through changes. Isolation from families and lived out through families. Isolation through lack of the required skill sets, language, numeracy, education. Isolation through love, for whatever reason, ending. Isolation through shyness, through difference, through, is this the right word, disability. Isolation through abuse, physical, mental or substance, and they're all connected. Isolation as a self-imposed state of being. Isolation as exile, often internal. The isolation that comes from living without limits, from not knowing where you stop and someone else begins. The less than splendid isolation of someone who is so far up themselves that they haven't noticed that everyone else has begun to isolate them. The isolation of the single mum, the long-distance dad, and anyone, anywhere, who has ever lived without being loved. And, might as well steal a last line, we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
Okay, we're doing quite well for time, so that's part one. Yeah, do we want to have a little break? Yeah! If we can meet back here for sort of 10 to 4, we'll get set up because that's the live bit. So if we're all in our seats by about 10 to 4, that would be great, but that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So do you want to go down, get some more refreshments and toilet break? Thank you everybody, it's been great. Thank you.